It sounded official. That was good.
I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'll ask for approval of the minutes from our March 22nd meeting. Moved by Troy, seconded by Joe. Any additions, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so Robin, you're going to walk us through all these charts and graphs and everything, and give us the first updates on the sales tax recapture report.
Yeah,
Waiver, you want to review their material.
Hopefully, yeah. So just to remind everyone what we do as part of our compliance when we receive all our annual reports, which I will add, we have all that. Last year at this time, remember this committee meeting, we had a whole list of outstanding reports, and we have everything done. Our parent report was submitted late, but it was submitted because we were able to get all the reports. So yay to our because that's not an easy task getting all those in. So one of the things we look at are what they were approved for sales tax exemption, and then they have to tell us what they actually spent. And then we find ones that, you know, accidentally, for whatever, is usually some sort of explanation of why they exceeded that, and they have to repay New York State the difference. So we had 3 projects this year that did exceed their sales tax exemption. All 3 have repaid New York State and are all up to date as of right now.
Good for you.
The Sibley commercial one you'll see on the agenda and the agenda is wrong. They came to us as an extension of their sales tax exemption, and then because our process works, when they filled out their form, I thought, wait, you spent this dollar amount, you're supposed to, that's not what you reported here, and then so we found out that they did exceed their sales tax. They did repay it earlier this month, so they're able now to come back to us for an increase in exemption.
Good auditing on your part.
Yeah.
And let any of them go.
System works.
That's
Well.
work. All right, so no action is taken on
Nope.
that. So the next item is unpaid pilot payments report.
Yes, the other thing we do is we reach out to the county treasury, and this year we heard from the city of Rochester on projects that have not made pilot payments as part of their agreement. You can see this is the list that is current as of today of who has not made pilot payments. We have sent one letter in June saying this is what you owe. Our recommendation is that staff sends a second demand letter, and then we'd like to talk with each municipality about how they would like us to proceed.
Are there stories behind each one of
Next
these?
month.
I'm sorry. Are there stories behind each one of these that we need to know about? I mean, we're going to send a second demand letter, but is there a reason?
There's at the bottom under the city of Rochester, Franklin Bevier, like Rachel talked about.
So Franklin Bevier is a pilot that has an interesting calculation based on leasable square feet, the start date of the pilot agreement based on when they got their certificate of occupancy. That's an oversimplification, but they are in a dispute with the city over the calculation of their pilot payment. It is a litigation. They are in mediation and making good progress. So that's the story behind Franklin Bevier.
Anything new on the others?
Well, so I'm looking at Monroe County WBS.
We're on the city of Rochester.
You're on the pilot payments.
Right.
WBS, you got 11,000, 12,000 on the balance, only a delta of 1,000. Why did delta down below 11,000 to the 169?
I bet you that's an error. I bet you that's missing a number. Oh, no. bet I'm missing a number on that.
Or you have one too many members.
No, I don't think so. I think they owe the 169 because it's 3
Oh.
years.
Also, maybe they paid one
Yeah,
11.
yeah.
Okay.
So what would that be then?
I will tell you in a moment.
Interest rate, interest and income. So I think the billing column represents the current billing, and then the July column is penalties, interest, and prior years as well.
So what do our bylaws say? How do we?
So the pilot agreements, the payment requirements are contained in the pilot agreement. So they have to make payments in lieu of taxes on the
Right.
pilot agreements. And then if they're not, it's an event default. So subject to board's review, of course. So we try to send as many demand letters as possible to get payment. We also try to involve the municipalities because there have been instances where the municipalities would rather us continue to work with the non-paying applicant rather than terminate the pilot agreement. Unique circumstances in which that happens, but I think at least one of them in the city, WBS, is something we need to discuss with the city. That's the former
So-
hot
so-
plan.
so you're saying
If you're familiar.
You want to send a second demand letter out
Yeah.
saying, hey, you gotta pay it in 30 days.
Yeah.
And then if they don't respond to that, then you want to.
Potentially. We'll end up simultaneously talking to the affected taxing jurisdiction when we send that second demand letter. And then before we terminate anything, we'll come back to the compliance committee for another discussion and a recommendation to the full board.
Yeah.
So there's no action needed at this time. We're just giving you the list of what's
Yeah.
outstanding and what we're doing to pursue collection.
It shouldn't be more bids for sure.
It shouldn't, and the other thing to know is right now these payments are accruing as contractual payments under a pilot agreement versus tax liens,
Right.
which would sit in front of any loans and mortgages. So we would, a lot of times the municipalities will say, please terminate, so any outstanding balances can start to accrue as tax liens rather than contractual pilot.
And that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes.
Because you'll get a tax and you're gonna get paid. A contractual agreement is gonna fall behind everybody else.
Exactly right.
And if they're behind with us, they're probably behind on a lot.
Yes.
And they usually are.
So,
Robin, did you?
So that number, so I think I just took, unfortunately, copied the number from the top, the county. The number of the city should be 134,247, and then the July balance includes all the late fees. That's why it's up to 169, and that's for 3 years of payments they have to make.
So the 169 is 134?
Yes, 130, no, I'm sorry, the 11,753
Yes.
should be 134,247.
what is it, 134, say again?
134,247.
So that interest is banging hard now, get it up to these numbers. Yeah. They're gonna want to take.
So do pilots ever get to, does it ever get to that?
It does, and, you know, what we want to hedge against is usually when it gets to this point, there's a lot more going on. And we'll want to take action.
So what was the story behind each one of these?
Look, sometimes the ones in the city get, especially the choice, you sometimes, like when we first get the list, we see a lot of homeowners through the choice program, and they just don't understand that they have to pay the county and they have to pay the city. So
So
there's
a lot of
of
times
that.
we'll pay the city the full amount, and then the city doesn't remit to the county. So sometimes that's what you see.
But with regard to the county,
So the first project is a historical issue of non-payment and is also in the final,
Yeah. it's like, well,
nearly the final year of the pilot agreement. So an ongoing problem, and then I do believe that made a payment at some point last year because they needed something. And so everyone said, well, we're not doing that something for you until the payment is made. But as to why it's continuing non-payment, we don't know. The second project with the much larger balances, I think that the project is for a number of reasons, not materializing the way that it was originally envisioned. I think that it was also intended to maybe be a foreign trade zone. I don't think that they received that designation. The idea is that it is to be an import hub, and that's what's happening, and we know all the challenges right now in importing anything. So there's that. I know that it was used for a public service during the pandemic, and so that is a reason why we want to be sure to include the municipality in the discussion about that particular facility, because it did assist the city in the vaccination rollout.
So this is 3 years, that's why that number's so big?
As I understand, they have had no revenue whatsoever. So they have a tough spot for them. But like Robin said, we need to talk to the city and see how they want us to handle it.
When
But
do you-
again, they're accruing contractual payments.
Right, so that number, obviously given anything, until you convert it.
When do we anticipate an action? Nothing today, but when do we anticipate?
For the end of the year, certainly, yeah, sooner.
And it's gonna, some of it, do it quick.
This is the former Hawkeye facility, right?
Yeah, bunch of buildings, and it was intended to be a multi-phase project,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Disneyland, it
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Right, they got in there and demoed and they found something.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, gosh, yeah, I can imagine a building of that history, age, buildings.
So I think, why don't we reach out to the city now? You agree with that? And see what they say? Let's get this moving sooner than later.
Sure.
Okay.
Rachel? Who's doing the reaching out? Robin?
I mean, Anna, we
Okay.
take lead on that.
Would be Dana Miller, right? It would be primarily,
We'll start,
yeah.
these letter, the tax letter.
And depending on what the city says on that, I think if we can convert this to a tax thing as quick as we can, at least we'll put ourselves in a position, put the city in a position, either they're gonna move or we'll figure out what they're gonna do with it.
Right. Remind me, Robin and Rachel, the application, when did we originally entertain the application for the Hawkeye project?
2018.
18,
Oh, right.
17, 18, right?
It's like
Right, what was the date?
18.
18.
Yeah.
18, okay.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
Yeah,
Big project.
very
I
promising.
know.
It's a shame, really.
Okay, any other actions, questions on paid pilots for Monroe County and the city? Okay. All right, now, job compliance, we've got all kinds of issues here for quite a number of projects. So on the voting motions for job compliance, I don't see Seneca Building or Rochester Midland.
No, you do not, because we don't have their waivers in yet.
Okay.
And that's actually on me that they were sent out late.
Okay.
Because of-
So we'll go ahead and discuss the others.
Yes, yeah, so we're just they're just putting it on record that they're coming in, and we'll probably call for another compliance committee meeting. Hopefully next month we'll have everything in it. Regroup.
So how would you like to proceed? You want to talk about each one or?
No.
Ask your question?
We can answer questions.
do,
Yeah.
You know, summer, they have a pretty hefty shortfall
Mhm.
that you wonder, really, are you gonna get there? You know, so, some of those, and maybe that's the two of them that would want to give a waiver to, but, anyway.
Anyway,
I do have a comment on the first one that I thought was interesting. So it says, please list the efforts to maintain and create jobs. With the reopening of Don Pedro's, new jobs were created in all areas of the business, inclusive of the kitchen, bar, and wait staff, but no numbers were included.
no, because we didn't ask, I guess, because The waivers for 2021, just to make that clear, it's for last year. So they tell us as of 12/31/21 what their jobs are. So what he's saying is the restaurant is now open in 2022. So the jobs are there, but the waivers for 21. Does that make sense? Then we had a lot of discussion last year on this. The restaurant was closed for several years. But as we all, I don't know if anybody's been there. I haven't been there yet. It's now open.
I went by Saturday, it was jam-packed.
Really?
Oh, good. Hopefully with all the staff.
Waiver restaurants are probably more customers than staff, unfortunately.
So, all right, so we got a letter from, John Malone on that one.
So the comments, so that means that the comments that, you know, we're starting to hire really are irrelevant because we're talking about 2021 and they're just starting to bring on more people this year, 2022.
I think
A
they're
lot of these
relevant because
numbers.
they're showing their current and future plans to right-size the job situation.
Yeah.
And we would expect to see in their 2022 annual survey jobs, especially on the one we just talked about.
Okay, and, Pure Point?
Yes, that's a daycare center. And I've heard many issues that daycare centers are really having a hard time trying to find staff.
So and for the benefit of new board members and everyone, so what we're talking about is each pilot contains a job creation requirement. So each month we approve the project. And so we put into the pilot, this is how many jobs you had at application, you're expected to retain those jobs and then create however many jobs, 10% over existing. We also provided the pilot agreement that we have a waiver process, and if you don't meet your jobs, we're going to reach out to you and you're going to explain to us why you haven't met the jobs and what action you're taking to create those jobs. So what they're saying is if they don't, it's an event control. So they're submitting a waiver from their job creation requirement to avoid that event, the board finding an event.
And I think the underlying thing in just about every one of these letters and it's Pure Point in the last line, COVID has decimated our ability to hire staff. I mean, that seems to be the underlying of all of these.
Okay, so Xerox Corp, a letter from David Earl. Looks like COVID related.
Yeah.
Attrition and inability to hire aligns with COVID-19.
Yeah, that's, I'm reading through these, it's,
I'm sure Tino Properties, Sarah Tahani.
Yep.
And that's a shortfall of about 21, getting to be a pretty big number.
This one's a little different. Candidates are not qualified or willing to work.
Lions Den. This is from Leo Linder.
Yes, and this one, they are, as of today, they're compliant, but as of 12/31, they were not.
Okay.
Based on what they said.
And then, let's see, 1005 Mount Reed Boulevard. Tyler Moriarty.
And their postings, I think.
I messed up the page.
No, they're the PDF program.
I don't know.
So their
I
job
messed up the
postings are
letter.
on page 15. Their job postings are on page 15 that go with my yard warrior. Thank you.
Okay.
Out of order, that was there.
All of these are all together.
Me not being able to put together PDF.
Okay. So this was written June 20th, so their hope is that the 3 positions will be filled by the end of the summer, for the 3 that they posted.
There still won't be there, but getting closer.
I'll share something interesting. I talked to a lot of people that tell me, we're having trouble hiring, we're having trouble finding help. And what I found was, for every company I'm involved in, when we try to hire people for the same wages we were hiring people in 2019, you're out, you're on your own on the
They're
night.
gonna
You're
go
alone.
find something else.
The minute we put an ad in and we raised it, I mean, what I did is I took inflationary rates and said, okay, inflationary rate was 3.5 in 19. It was 3 3/4 in 20. It bumped up in 21. We were pushing, that the average median was like 6 1/4. And now, unfortunately, we're over 9. So I took that and I raised what we were offering people, and we filled every job that we had inside of, 3 days. So I just
They're
think,
smart shoppers, they
well, I
can see,
think people are looking at.
they can use it as leverage, right?
Well, not only
Don't
that, I
pay me
think they're
enough,
looking at their
Not
life,
interested.
they're saying, I can't afford to live on what I was living on before.
Yeah. right.
So, and I think that's a big part of it, but anyway, I just wanted to share.
I know that's an issue we're having at the town, we just had a meeting about it, we're a union shop at the town of Henrietta,
Right.
and we're losing people because all the other towns are there's just no work, there's just not enough staff out there.
Yeah.
So we had to just have a special meeting to see about bumping up.
Right.
When we just settled a union contract, like 2 months ago, now we've got to redo it again to try to keep our workers.
Yeah.
But it's a real problem out there. I mean, we're talking snow plow drivers and all of those. We can't get them. We can't clean the streets.
I think, Lisa, I think it's getting worse.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched my son's friends, I have 3 boys and their friends, and, some of them were academics and some, clearly weren't. And those guys should have went to trade school. And instead they got, sports management degrees and, graduated with like a 2.1 in sports management. And, now consequently that they're looking to get in trades and they have no skills. So, yeah, I just think it's going to get worse. Auto mechanics, same thing.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
The circle of life.
Okay, High Point, or High Properties.
That's a machine shop in, Hunter Falls.
They have a shortfall of 8 positions. They do have 35. So,
And right now they're at 38 currently.
okay. So they're making progress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Roxbury Dome Partner.
This is the donor.
Yes.
Yes, but it's severely difficult.
Well, I think for going back real quick to that High Point, the last thing that they noted was so significant was the pandemic impact in our business that we qualified for the Federal CARES Act employee retention credit in the last 2 quarters of 2020. So, it's real. We all know that.
This is the one of great concern, I would say, the PGH.
Yeah, me too.
That there's no plan here. There really isn't a plan.
So on Roxbury, on the Dome, do they still have a shortfall of 2?
I don't know what they're currently at. We've since hired another manager.
There's events been happening
Yeah.
in the last 6 months over there.
Yeah. That'll probably work itself out.
Yeah, I think it will.
PGH, I'm sure you get a 97 person shortfall.
There are tenant left, and one main tenant they had.
Who's the developer? Who's?
Andrew Thompson?
So this is basically a tenant lot.
Yeah.
Nothing updated on that?
No, and, I don't think so. This is certainly one we need to talk to the city about.
Yeah.
They received a special pilot agreement, and actually here, the job creation requirement came from the city. So this would not have been a typical job creation requirement from us. We would have been 10% over existing. Very high level, right? So, yeah, we need to they talk to the city
Call the
about that.
city, and if the city says terminate, then terminate.
Mhm.
And then get it back on the tax rolls, and hopefully somebody puts a tax in there.
So in that situation, we don't want to deny the waiver, we want to work with the city, or what are we doing? PGH?
We don't have to grant a waiver to any of these, and we can gather more information on any of them. We can grant the waiver and then, given that we want to work with the city, and the city might have a different opinion, I suspect we should hold on granting a waiver on this one.
Yeah, I would not grant a waiver.
Pending conversations with the city.
Yeah, and we would come back
Yeah.
before we did anything.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting, a letter from the city was included as an attachment to the pilot agreement, and is very, very specific on jobs and ramifications.
Okay, Morgan Street.
It's about more than a problem.
It was included in a portfolio of properties that was sold.
Right.
And oddly, the name of the company purchasing is also Morgan and had no relation whatsoever.
You know, Morgan Properties out of King of Prussia in Philly, that's who
Yeah.
bought a lot of their stuff.
That's right.
So do we want to
So
go
where
through
is
these and say yes,
is
no,
there a
yes,
letter
no?
on that?
They completed the form itself under questions. Yes, we'll have motions and covers, all of them.
They're at 72 right now. They were at 65 the end of last year. They're at 72 right now, so they're inching their way up.
Okay. so we
They've
should-
got
we
13
should
more,
grant that then.
13 more job postings
Yeah.
listed.
Okay, so Erie Station. Not going anywhere.
Another situation where the tenant left and they're trying to find a new tenant.
What's the thought on that?
This particular developer has been very successful in the reshuffling of tenants. So I'm not worried about this one.
Which one is this?
Erie Station.
Who's the developer?
Okay, P&L Linden.
This is an insurance company.
Two new employees coming on in July.
July 1, right. We're only short 3, so.
And they've got two coming on, came on July 1st.
Okay, so we want to grant that. And then the next 3. I guess. Sheriff.
Oh my God, I am not allowed to put yes together anymore. I'm sorry, it's out of order. It's on page, the Sheriff was on page 20. What happens when Robin tries to do work? Blame the PDF software.
They're growing.
They're growing. They reported 78 last year in 2020, and they're up to 92, so.
And then what did we say about Seneca Building Partners?
Those two we're gonna, they're still getting their information to us.
The vote received
We
before.
won't take any action
No
on
action.
it.
We'll come back to you with that.
And each one of these have a code. Secret code. But So, anyone want to take a stab at, well, I guess I could create the motion and.
So it sounds like just one we're holding.
I gotta tell you, the insurance thing is confusing to me. We just hired 6 people. It just doesn't make sense to me why they haven't been able to get it.
Which one are you talking about?
PL Linden, I mean, it's small, only 3 people.
Okay, so. Looks like. We've got, how about if I just read off the last few letters of the code? So we are asking for a motion to grant a waiver to the following projects as identified by project code. 030A, 022A, 036A, 045A, 067A, 005A, 031A, 055A. We're holding on EGH 067. We are granting the waiver for 004A, 006A, 019A, and 042M. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any additional comments, questions on that? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried. And we're just going to hold on the last two. We don't need a motion to do that. Good work. Any other business for the compliance committee? A lot of heavy lifting today. Because they have power. Okay, I guess I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
That's a little sweet. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Or meeting adjourned, thank you.
Thank you. Very efficient.
Thank you. Someone said there might be lunch today.
Yeah, we had